According to a 2015 study from Microsoft Canada, our attention spans have become smaller than that of a goldfish. Multi-screen usage and the age at which we adopt technology have a significant impact on our attention span. These factors affect different aspects of different types of attention in different environments. So how, why, and what does this mean for marketers? Multi-screening trains consumers to be less effective at filtering out distractions. They are increasingly hungry for something new. This means more opportunities to hijack attention, but also that brands need to work harder to maintain it. Yes, this is what the study has to say, and that is just barely scratching the surface on how absurd this all is. There are numerous problems with the way this information is presented and how they obtained that information. So why am I going over this study in particular? Because there isn't much reliable information out there about recent trends in human attention span and technology. I find this quite odd because it's a common narrative to hear, that human attention span is generally decreasing because of social media and short-form content. But this is one of the most reported on studies out there and is somewhat recent. The other studies I've found usually have problems with their methodology and seem biased as well, using simple surveys to measure attention span for the sake of trying to solve a marketing problem, not to identify a psychological or neurological issue. One article even tries to analyze a TV show, Euphoria, for answers, which is, well, something. The Goldfish Narrative spread amongst some of the largest news outlets, sourcing this claim to the Microsoft Canada study. How did Microsoft get this information? From a site called Statistic Brain, an insecure site which hosts other articles such as, "Actors' salaries, ever wonder how much a certain actor got paid for a film? As much as I would love to pay the 65 cents a day, I'm not gonna risk giving my card info to this site," which means I can't outright disprove this Goldfish Narrative. Someone at BBC did look into it a bit, and they weren't able to get a response from either Statistic Brain or their listed sources. Unfortunately, the BBC article frames this as having busted the myth of dwindling attention spans. This doesn't prove there's not a problem with attention spans. It only means this one highly referenced source doesn't seem too legitimate. At this point, I'm more concerned with the other claims in this Microsoft Canada report. Although it's 8 years old in regards to this topic, it's one of the most comprehensive and more recent pieces of research out there, and it's from a massive company. Let's start from the top. Think digital is killing attention spans? Think again. It is no surprise that increased media consumption and digital lifestyles reduce the ability for consumers to focus for extended periods of time. But I never would have guessed that tech-savvy consumers are actually getting better at processing information and encoding that information to memory. The point being made here is that, even though our attention spans are being shortened by things like social media, our attention is being strengthened in other ways. This is supported by the data on page 20, where it shows that moderate to heavy social media users are better than light to no social media users at remembering things, at least in interactive environments, not TV. So, people who use TikTok regularly are better at processing information from TikTok. The problem here is that the methodology used to get this graph only tests people's attention levels when engaged with media, social media and television being separated. So, of course, people who are already interested in TikTok and like it enough to use it regularly are going to be better at remembering stuff from TikTok. If you ask someone from Gen X who never uses social media to watch TikTok for 15 minutes, they'll probably be disinterested, bewildered, and distractible. Not because they're worse at paying attention, but because TikTok isn't entertaining to them. This isn't a good measure of memory, information processing, or attention. This is more of a measure of interest and has no bearing on someone's ability to stay focused on something like homework. Also, what do these numbers mean? What unit of measurement is being used here? Both the glossary and methodology sections shed some light. The ACE score refers to attentional resources, concentration, connection, emotional, and encoding, memory. When looking up what ACE scores mean in neurology and medicine, I don't find anything about attention, connectivity, or encoding. There are countless articles and studies on adverse childhood experiences, which relates to trauma, not attention. ACE is also a kind of blood test. The ACE scores seem to be something unique to this study, somehow based off EEG tests and the participants' behavior. Then, what's an EEG? It's a test that detects abnormalities in your brainwaves, or in the electrical activity activity of your brain. The results look like they come from a polygraph, but a lie detector measures other things, like heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing. So EEGs are used to measure electrical activity in the brain, which can be used to determine attentiveness. Well, not too reliably. A 2013 study on measuring attention with EEGs showed some promise, but at that time there were still many kinks to work out in order to make it a more accurate process. When determining whether a subject is paying attention or not, an accuracy of 50 to 76% does not sound reliable. This was only 2 years prior to the Microsoft Canada study. Even if we assume EEGs are viable here and we can combine those results with the subject's evaluated behavior to come up with an accurate measurement of how well they paid attention, there is still no unit of measurement listed in these graphs. They reference ACE scores, but what's the difference between -29 attention and 10 attention? How can you convert emotional connection into a numeric value? The most concrete answer I can find is at the very end of the study, claiming these numbers were calculated by counting the number of times respondents correctly identified an X occurring after an A. This methodology is rather basic yet vague for such a complicated topic. Or maybe these numbers come from the neurological research section, which would be the average number of peaks in attention behavior for various time frames were calculated to determine bursts in attention. But they never state which form of research or methodology is being used for each graph in this study. For now, let's assume these numbers have some weight behind them. Today, multi-screening is a given, so it's reassuring to know multiple screens don't reduce the potential impact of advertising. Since consumers turn to their secondary screens to fill those in-between moments when they might otherwise drop off completely, they're more engaged overall and already primed for immersive experiences. We'll talk about multi-screen usage later, but for now, let's focus on the heavy marketing bias in this report. It's clear this study wasn't made to help identify or solve any kind of mental health issues regarding social media. The only clear concern is marketability. The question being asked isn't so much, is social media having a negative impact on our attention, but rather, is social media actually hurting our ability to advertise? There are many quotes from the study that make this obvious. What can marketers do? Leverage rich media and movement to grab attention. Embed calls to action. Be interactive. With today's digital lifestyle, marketers need to make an almost immediate impact before consumers switch off or move on. When consumers are looking for something to care about at every moment, rapid-fire tactics like branded content, native advertising, and generally useful, entertaining, and shareable content are best. Canadians lose interest fast. They're suckers for novelty. It's more exciting to jump from subject to subject or device to device than to concentrate on a single thing at any one time. Hook consumers right off the bat with clear and concise messaging that's communicated as early as possible. Linking directly to full-screen video or landing experiences can drive immediate action. On Xbox, the ad is the only animated moving tile to naturally grab users' attention. Embedding calls to action within content helps to optimize multi-screeners' attention. Leverage multi-screening behaviors and be action-focused. Encourage consumers to seek out additional content on other devices, for example, visit a website to purchase. Embed calls to action. Be interactive, continue experiences onto other screens, and use sequential messaging. This all makes the inclusion of this quote quite worrisome. What information consumes is the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. They view attention as a human resource to be whittled down and used against us for immediate financial gain, not something that needs care, respect, or improvement. With all that said, this isn't meant to be a critique of capitalism. I first came across this study because I wanted to learn more about the connection between attention spans and media consumption. Considering the importance of focus and prevalence of media, it's an important issue. Knowing now that this problem is being leveraged as a means of marketing, I believe awareness of the issue and adjusting our attitude towards media is what's important. Switching between several different social media apps with different hooks and gimmicks while watching whatever TV show on demand is unprecedented behavior, though that's not to shame anyone who does so. Personally, it's not uncommon for me to be on my computer while the TV is playing YouTube videos or Netflix. This behavior is categorized as multi-screening, when someone is alternating attention between two devices at once, most commonly between a smartphone and a television. According to this study, Ultimately, introducing secondary screens reduces selective attention. It's a question of lifestyle. We see no drop in performance with device or social media usage, just when multitasking. People with high selective attention actively choose fewer distractions. Those that spend more time multi-screening have significantly lower selective attentional scores. Selective attention referring to the ability to maintain focus in the face of distracting or competing stimuli. People with naturally shorter attention spans will be more susceptible to multi-screening behavior. This is a problem because those with short attention spans are already at a disadvantage. They're more prone to behavior that will continue to whittle down their attentiveness. Later in the study, they frame this impact on focus as multi-screen environments not only improve overall attention, they improve emotional connection and encoding to memory. They even go as far as to say, multi-screeners appear to be in a heightened neural state, but it makes sense that someone who surrounds themselves with multiple screens regularly would be more primed to pay attention to the entertainment they've decided to surround themselves with. Once again, this seems to have more to do with personal interest and being accustomed to that environment rather than attentiveness itself. In order to make such a broad and bold claim about overall attention, you would need to account for people's ability to stay focused on some form of work, not social media, which is designed to be as engaging and as addictive as possible. What makes this claim even more absurd is that the previous page points to a drastic drop-off in attention when social media usage is high. On one page, they warn you that high social media usage causes attention scores to plummet. On the next page, they claim that multi-screen environments improve overall attention, emotional connection, and encoding to memory. Not to mention, earlier in the study, they lump moderate and heavy social media users together. If the difference in impact between moderate and heavy social media usage is this extreme, then grouping the two together makes these already vague numbers even more skewed. There is often a positive framing throughout this report. This is likely because of the heavy emphasis on marketing instead of mental health. I could see how moderate social media usage might make one better at, say, remembering headlines, posts, and clips online, but the constant positive phrasing such as improve overall attention, higher usage of social media increases short bursts of high attention, digital behaviors improve alternating attention, connected consumers are becoming better at doing more with less via shorter bursts of high attention and more efficient encoding to memory, all feel short-sighted at best. There are other problems with this report, like how unclear it is whether they're using their quantitative or neurological methodology, why they would break attention test results into 3 equal parts instead of establishing a metric as to what constitutes a low, medium, or high score, the low number of participants, only 112 for the neurological research, etc. A much less important favorite of mine is the misunderstanding of a laugh track. By analyzing video footage from multi-screening environments, we see that while consumers may be looking at their phones rather than the TV, they are still responding to auditory cues, like laughing at jokes. If they only start listening to the TV once the laugh track plays, they're not going to understand why they're hearing laughter. The joke was made before they started paying attention. It is quite a mess of a study. However, that doesn't mean there aren't some important takeaways. First, it is clear that Microsoft cares more about marketability and appeasing advertisers than it cares about the negative impacts of media and technology. Second, according to the survey results, those who adopted technology at a younger age, use social media heavily or multi-screen often, have a harder time concentrating on work and school than others. Also, while many people recognize the detrimental qualities of social media and the importance of making time to distance ourselves from our devices, not too many make the choice to disconnect from personal technology at least once a month. We should regularly think about how we're utilizing or wasting our time. Lastly, the worst impacts to our attention spans from technology seem to come from heavy social media usage and heavy multi-screening. Deleting certain apps from your phone and putting away devices when focus is needed can help form more productive habits. Multi-screening should be seen as a more potent form of distraction, where we are essentially able to continually distract ourselves from the initial distraction we chose in the first place. It would be wise to limit this behavior, but if the study is so riddled with errors, then how do we know technology is having a negative impact on our attention spans? Even though there are some more concrete scientific ways of evaluating focus, it is a multifaceted, multisensory cognitive phenomenon, as stated by Sapien Labs. As far as I can tell, none of the approaches listed here were used in the Microsoft study, or any of the other studies I came across. I do think many of us can intuit the posing threat to our attention spans though. In fact, the most grounded report I found on the link between media consumption and attentiveness was more of an essay and less of a study. It was from 2008 called Information Pollution, Knowledge Overload, Limited Attention Spans, and Our Responsibilities as IS Professionals. IS stands for Information Systems. Quote, "The current generation of youth, the millennials, matured during an era of various internet communications." Paraphrased. Research shows that this generation deals better cognitively with multitasking demands for time and attention. The human brain does include some plasticity, particularly for the first 5 years following birth. Yet even then, there are cognitive limits to all of us. Humans have finite memories and cognitive processing capabilities. The good news is that there does seem to be some truth behind the claim that technology use can improve our ability to multitask. However, according to the Microsoft study, overconsumption of media can tank our ability to multitask. What I find to be more interesting are those last two sentences about the limitations of the human brain. Our memory, cognitive processing capabilities, and attention spans should be treated like the limited resources they are. Also, we all have a limited amount of time on Earth. We should use our time, effort, and capabilities wisely. This is much easier said than done, but will lead to much more fulfilling and productive lives. For tech companies, approaching this issue seriously is not only psychologically, philosophically, and ethically sound, but economically viable as well. The average knowledge worker, someone who is a part of the growing information economy, loses 2.1 hours a day to interruptions associated with multitasking. If those workers make an average of $21 an hour, that adds up to $588 billion a year, more than the GDP of Argentina. If we adjust for inflation and consider both how the availability of tech has spread and the increasingly addictive traits of social media, it easily surpasses $1 trillion a year. This is assuming the surveys conducted by BASX are an accurate representation of workers' relationship to technology, but either way, it makes sense that a more distracted workforce would be a drain on the economy. Not to mention, if younger generations are spending more and more time distracting themselves instead of improving their skills, they'll be less likely to be able to afford the things being advertised to them. They'll probably continue to grow more cynical about how they're being marketed to as well. The tech industry at large stands to benefit from tackling this problem in the long run. On that note, not to seem like a shill, but YouTube Premium could actually help with these issues, at least on this platform. Instead of earning money through ads, they're earning money through subscriptions. That way, YouTube isn't as incentivized to keep you watching as much content as possible to maximize ad revenue, but rather to provide a quality experience that viewers are willing to pay for. If enough viewers sign up for this, YouTube won't be as beholden to their advertisers. There is a desire to distract ourselves, whether that's from our work, our problems, or other difficult aspects of life. The rapid progress of technology makes distraction more available and tempting than ever. The speed and acceleration of this technological progress as of late is completely unprecedented. As with any new problem, knowledge and awareness is a great place to start. Try to realize when you're feeling the desire to compulsively check your phone. How often do you feel this pull towards your device? How often do you give in to that pull? The answers to these questions may feel uncomfortable, but it's good if you're willing to ask them in the first place. This awareness of our habits is where we can start to make improvements. In the after school video, How to Quickly Improve Focus, Andrew Huberman, he talks about the strong link between our focus and vision. I know I've been advocating for reading more and more lately, but it can be a great way to learn and improve focus. It's not a moving, colorful distraction or a phone that dings with notifications in relation to yourself. It doesn't demand your attention like much of technology does. It requires you to exercise your ability to focus. If reading feels frustrating or like you're not retaining the information, that's okay. It's a sign that this is something you should continue to work on. There's a part of the video where the artist draws a target on the screen and asks if you can focus on it for 40 seconds. Personally, when I tried to do so, I was able to, but I definitely felt moments where my eyes were trying to dart away. My focus still needs more exercise and improvement. Something that I started doing for the sake of focus is playing Aim Labs for roughly 15 minutes a day, of all things. Aim Labs is a free game on Steam designed to help with accuracy in FPS games. I know that sounds silly, but it corresponds with what we know about sight and improving focus. I figure at the very least it can't hurt. There's much more information in that after-school video, and I highly recommend checking it out. We all have a great deal of potential. It is up to us to tap into that potential through our effort, our focus, and our time. These are precious, limited resources within ourselves that we cannot afford to squander. To consistently waste these resources is to throw away the very best parts of ourselves. The parts of ourselves that we can use to better our lives, the lives around us, and enrich the world with our creativity. A big thanks to the best subscriber squad in all of YouTube. You all make glitch poachers a possibility. Have a good day.